finally happened. I got to see the amazing Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan, who is, of course, Wild Stallions, and Bill and Ted Face the Music. Let's talk about that. Well, finally, I got to see Bill and Ted Face the Music, and I've been waiting weeks to have this opportunity to see this movie and finally get to go see this movie in the theater with my kids. Oh, yeah, and if you've not seen this movie, then spoilers. First of all, I want to say that I love this movie. It has so much heart, spirit, and from the get-go, I was laughing my butt off. Honestly, it was really good to see Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves on screen again. They have such good chemistry. The cool thing is that they are Bill and Ted, just older. In the scene in the beginning that is at the wedding of the wedding of Ted's brother Deacon, who is marrying, of course, Missy. And that was so much fun as a callback to the other two movies, that how she's been with, both of their dads, and now she's with her brother, with Ted's brother. It's so funny. I love it. And then they do like this crazy song at the beginning that is like the first of three movements, of which is called, all right, you ready for this? That which binds us through time, the chemical, the physical, and the biological nature of love, and the exploration of the meaning of meaning. Part 1. When they said that, holy crap, I about died. It was so amazing. And the other part that is awesome is the intro of the daughters, Billy and Thea. And they love the music that their dads create. They are Bill and Ted. And it resonates like that, them being Bill and Ted throughout the entire movie. From this point on, you find out that Bill and Ted have not made the song that unites the universe and brings the planets into alignment. And the future, because of this, brings them to the future and tells them that if they do not make the song in the next 78 minutes, the universe will cease to exist. And that's totally bogus. But one thing that is not bogus is the person that brought them to the future. And we find out that this is Rufus's daughter, which, in my opinion, is such a fun callback because they do make reference to Rufus. They reference that he's passed away. And one cool thing that, at the very beginning when they go to the future is the callback they make to Rufus. That's really cool is they show Rufus as kind of like a hologram standing in front of the old telephone that they use to go through the circuits of time. And he keeps saying sayings that he would say from the original movie. And I just thought that was awesome. I mean, it looked like a full hologram and stuff. So now at this point, I thought that the movie, once they found out about the song and stuff, could have done a bit more about what happens to Bill and Ted. But what they do is they go to the future and try to steal the song from themselves because they can't figure out like how they made the song. They just don't have it in them. I mean, they've been trying to make this song for like 25 years and they just haven't done it yet. So what they've needed to do is, they're just like kind of at the end of the road. They're like tired. They've been thinking about quitting and stuff like that. And that's the one thing that's kind of been hard on them. And so for them to be told that in 78 minutes they have to make this song, it's like, no way, dude. That's totally non-heinous, man. So they decide to go to the future. And at the same time, when they go to the future, their daughters go and start assembling the best band in the universe with the help of Rufus's daughter. Rufus's daughter comes back to their house and, starts looking for Bill and Ted, and they're not there. And then they ask Rufus's daughter to take her pod and go and find all of the cool people from history. And I was a little bummed about this one And because this is the first movie's kind of premise a little bit, now they're just trying to assemble like the coolest band ever. And so this is where the movie kind of lacked a bit for me. I needed to have more as they go and meet their, the different like bandmates. It was fun, but I just felt like it needed more, you know, and you don't understand kind of at the beginning why they're, necessarily looking for other people. At the same time, Bill and Ted is going through um, trying to meet their like future us's. And and then as this is all going on with their future us's, they're going to go find them. You also find out that they think that their wives are going to divorce them, which is a weird thing that they kind of threw in there in the middle. Um, they go to counseling and things like that, and they think the whole movie that their wives have left them or are gonna leave them, um, because as they start going into the future, they find their future us's seem to start telling them that that their wives have left them, and which kind of spawns this whole thing of like the further they go into the future, their future us's like getting more bitter and more bitter, and that was fun. But you know, I like that part, and the future us's part was pretty good. Um, the daughter's part, it had funny parts, but honestly, I just felt like it was a little bit lacking. The whole kind of middle of the movie, in my opinion, was a little bit. I just felt like it needed more content. I think it needed more going on, even though they were like looking for the future band. You didn't know why, but you knew why Bill and Ted were looking for their stuff. Going to the future selves and looking at themselves in the future, and the skits of themselves in the future, getting more bitter, more angry as they, talk to their future selves. Those things are funny. There's some funny moments in that. I just feel like they would have, um, could have done more with that. And there are some funny parts. Now, there's a funny part that I don't want to like talk about all of them, but there is a part in the movie that I just think is really fun. And as they're looking for the song, they find themselves as old men. And when they find themselves as old men, they find themselves in a nursing home. And of course, they're together in the nursing home by themselves. And they finally find through looking through all their future us's that their old us's like have the song that they're looking for, that they need to take to the past. And there's a couple of really funny scenes in this, and as they're talking to their future us's. Now, let's see. Let's talk about a few of them as they're talking to themselves in the nursing home as they lay side by side. This part was so funny that my son actually like commented like after the movie. He's like, well, I asked him, I'm like, so hey, like what was your favorite part of the movie? And he thought was the funniest part when Ted and Bill were talking to themselves. And they talk to themselves in the movie. And they say stuff like, here's old Ted to younger Ted, okay? The truth is, I looked at you and saw myself. Or another one was Bill saying stuff like, I'll never forget you, to old Bill, which is pretty funny, I'll never forget you. Then after this, this kind of interaction goes on. They find out that their daughters and everybody, like the whole like group of like the band that they're trying to assemble, have been killed by a robot that they introduce in the movie, who is pretty funny. It's kind of a surprise. His name is Dennis Caleb McCoy. Dennis Caleb McCoy kills all like the daughters and the whole band that they're trying to find for the future, and sends them to hell. And by the way, the robot in this movie is hilarious. He's a good addition. He was kind of a surprise. And I thought it was interesting. Now, Bill and Ted get themselves killed so they can go to hell as well and look for their daughters and stuff like that. And while they are there, they find everybody there in hell, trying to, figure out where they are and stuff. And to get out of hell, they go see who? They go see the Reaper. All right. And then they find him playing hopscotch by himself. And he's cheating. Now, this is kind of a contentious part because Bill and Ted and the Reaper had a falling out like 25 years later when he had like separated from the band because he thought he was cool, too cool for school, type thing. So he started releasing like his own bass albums and stuff like that, and they just were critically panned. And so he came back to hell after all this, and Bill and Ted and him had a falling out. So, the whole breakout was pretty bad, and so they kind of went through this whole thing of trying to make up with him, and then the daughters interceded and told them that they thought his albums were just fantastic and they loved it and stuff like that. And they kind of wooed him back to talk to Bill and Ted. And finally, they got the Reaper to kind of reunite with Bill and Ted to sing the ultimate song that they had just found from their old us's and stuff like that. So once they leave hell with like the Reaper and everybody else, they find themselves on a highway and they see like the whole world. You see this part in the advertising, and you see like the world just starting to like just deteriorate because the song hasn't been played yet, and all of a sudden they figure out that it's not actually Bill and Ted that come up with the song. It just, the whole thing had always said Preston and Logan, and it said their last names, on like all of the like documentation, but it never said their first names. And they come to find out that it's actually their daughters that come up with the song with them. And so it's ridiculous, but they find there's a truck stuck in traffic where they came out of hell, and it's a Guitar Center van. And of course, it's got everything they need. Another like crazy, ridiculous thing with Bill and Ted. And then the daughters start like playing with the band and coming up with like all this synth stuff and playing with the music as Bill and Ted figure out that the reason why it unites everybody is that they go throughout time using the booth, and they give everybody guitars and they give everybody instruments so that through all time, everybody's singing the song at the same time, which is why they come to the conclusion that this is how it unites all time, space, and the universe, because everybody sings the song at the same exact time. And then after they sing the song, and this is where I kind of have I struggled with this a little bit on this one. They just end the movie, right? And I didn't stay long enough. I found out there's an after scene that I haven't been able to find on internet yet, but of them. But the movie just ends with them playing the final, everybody playing the final song, including Death, like stuff. Speaking of Death, I'm really bummed that he wasn't in the movie that much. Like, they could have absolutely utilized him more and stuff, and brought back the nostalgia more, but he's really only in it for like 20 minutes, and they don't really use him that much. I think it's a missed opportunity, in my opinion. But it's still good to see him. I just didn't like how it just kind of abruptly came to an end. So there's a lot of things I think they could have done. I've heard that there were some things they were going to do, but because of COVID, they weren't able to. But that's okay. That's okay. Again, I really enjoyed this movie. It was a fun movie. Let's talk about the negatives, all right? All right, let's talk about that. So, let's talk about the positives first. Very nostalgic. It's a fun Bill and Ted movie, right? No, it's not as good as the first two. but it's still worth seeing. It's fun. You'll laugh your butt off because it's really funny. All right. And the storyline was fun. I mean, I know I'm saying fun a lot. Whatever. Whatever. It was fun. All right. And stuff. But isn't that why you go to movies? We need movies like this right now. We just need movies that are fun. If you're going to see this movie because it's, you're expecting something mind blowing, or, don't go see this movie you're expecting that. Maybe I got my expectations, but, worked up a little bit much. But if you're going to watch a fun movie, this is the movie to watch. Watch it. It's a blast. All right. The next thing that I think that is amazing was Dennis Caleb McCoy, the robot that's in the movie. He is awesome. He adds so much. I wish they would have added him more into the movie, along with the Reaper. Maybe him and the Reaper could have been friends. Again, just a missed opportunity on the Reaper. But Dennis Caleb McCoy maybe makes up for it a little bit, right? And then I would say the daughters. The daughters are fun. They emulate their dads. They're kind of like being, their dads from the first two Bill and Ted movies. And that's okay. I really liked it. That's where a lot of the nostalgia came through. Yeah, they played kind of the same parts and did kind of the same things as the first movie. But it was done, in a unique enough way that it still made it fun to watch, even though, it was a little bit of a callback, So, that's what I would say. Now, let's go to the negatives. There's a few. All right. First of all, the one thing that I was disappointed with is, as I was watching this movie, I noticed that a lot of the key scenes were in the advertising. I don't know about you, but I hate that. Why do they do that? I was just like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. Oh yeah, I've seen this before. Yeah, I didn't see the whole scene, but I've seen this before. And so that was a little disappointing. I've tried not to watch tons and tons of reviews over the years because of crap like this, but I was having a hard time with the whole, everything going on and stuff like that, that I was like clinging on to like the review or the trailers a little bit more than I normally do, because I really wanted to see this movie. But like I said, they disappointed me because they showed a little too much in the commercials. All right. So that's one of the first things that is a negative. Again, like I've said a couple of times, they needed a little bit more content in the movie for the daughters to do, for Bill and Ted to do. What they did was fun. I just feel like they could have done a little bit more. And, the daughters were a little bit of a rehash of the first movie. So there's your negative on that. Okay, so the next negative I would say on it is, with the first movie, it seemed like there was so much more of an emphasis on music. I mean, I know this movie is called Face the Music, but I didn't feel like there was as much music, in this movie like they did the first one in the 90s, the first two. They are always talking about head banging and all this, all the head banging music that they wanted, heavy metal music that they liked. And they talked about it more. And it just felt like it needed more like heavy metal in it, a little bit more, I don't know, Metallica or Guns N' Roses or Kiss, like was in the second movie. So I was a little disappointed in that. I wish they had done a little bit more with that, but you know what? That's okay. I guess it's okay. But it's the disappointing part is Bill and Ted go hand in hand with metal music, with hard rock music, and they just didn't mesh this well, The last part is honestly, in a lot of circumstances, I don't feel like Keanu knew 100% how to be Ted anymore. He's been doing his own thing, and take this with knowing that I love Keanu. I love him. I love the movies he's been in lately. He's amazing. I can't wait for the next Matrix movie and stuff like that. But I just felt like he kind of like never kind of found his way back to Ted as much as I would like to. I felt like he played a little bit like, he played Ted older, of course, a little bit more serious, but I don't know, the vibe just didn't come across as much, a little bit, but it came back. It didn't come across as Ted as much. Now, you know, Alex Winters, of course, I almost called him Bill Winters. Alex Winters, I feel like he did a great job becoming Bill again. I feel like he captured the essence of Bill S. Preston Esquire. And so that was a little bit weird. I mean, you know, when they're together, it feels a little bit different. But if it's like Keanu, like, you know, kind of on his own in a sectioned off part of the scene or whatever, where it's just him, I just didn't feel like the magic of Ted coming back. You know, again, it kind of just played like Keanu himself. Just a little bit more butt rockery. You know, that's it. So, he also didn't feel like Keanu didn't feel like he had like the same energy and the same mannerisms, you know, that he had, you know, in the original movies. Whereas again, Alex Winters, I feel like he dialed in Bill on this. So, you know, he was channeling Bill again, and Keanu got a little, you know, kind of got there, but not as much. So, anyways, overall, as you can tell, I do like this movie. Just, you know, if you watch it, or if you have watched it, you know, just know that, you know, there might be some things there that, you know, you might been expecting more, like I was, and maybe wanted a little more, and that's okay. But overall, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy this movie as much as I did. I commented to Gun Guy in the theater. He was like just down like one row and to the right of me, and he was just laughing his butt off, just right along with me and my cousin and my kids. And I commented, and I go, "Wasn't that awesome?" He goes, "Man, I just barely could hold it together. It was so funny." And he's right. There are some fantastically, like, hilarious parts in this movie. So, even though the whole movie didn't hold up to what I was hoping it would be, it got close enough for what I was expecting. And you know, I always tell my friends, you know, I don't buy movies unless I know that I'll rewatch it again. And you know what? You know, we can call this my review. Would I buy this movie and rewatch it? Yes, I would buy this movie, and I would rewatch it multiple times. If I didn't like a movie, I wouldn't buy it. And I don't buy movies that I don't like to rewatch again. Some people buy a million movies. Buy every movie. Not me. I buy what I think I'm going to rewatch and that I'm going to love. And I know that I'll rewatch this movie and I'll love it. So there's my review, guys. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you get to go out to the theaters and you get to see Bill and Ted Face the Music. It's worth seeing in the theater. You know, especially even if you wait and let it go to the cheap theaters. I saw it in the more expensive theater where I am at. You know, it was only $7 for me to go to see Bill and Ted. You know, and that was for everybody in my family. $7 per everybody that went in my family, and that's okay. So $35. Cool. And stuff like that. It was worth it. It was fun, and stuff like that. There's that word again. I keep saying it's fun. Sorry. I'm sorry if I said fun too much in this review. And so I'll leave that with you. And thank you for watching my review and breakdown of Bill and Ted Face the Music. And as always, be excellent to each other and live long and prosper. From me here at the House of Nerd. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check out our other nerdy videos.